God bless you, because that is just a brutal market. Because you can't drop on a 3-year-old's podcast and promote the project. It's like
There were no 3-year-olds with podcasts, unfortunately. That would have been cool, though.
Good evening, fans. Tim Kitzrow here, the voice of NBA Jam, and you're listening to the GameDev Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by CodeWritePlay.com. Whoa, boom shakalaka!
My mom gave birth in 1985. I was bluer than a Pac-Man ghost, barely alive. In the Cold War, my only blanket was Tetris. I played Rampart with Reagan, rampaged the world for breakfast. The laundromat was my sanctuary, that arcade was my church. I thought I was Rastan, so for evil
Hello.
Hey, Abby, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
I like how we have our studio setups in the background.
Yeah, it's the workspace for sure. Are you a guitar player? I think I've seen you with a guitar.
I'm a terrible guitar player. I mean, I play guitar, but the actual efficacy of me doing so is not that great.
Well, I'm a very bad bass player, so we've got that going for us.
I mean, I'm also a bad bass player. My bass is back there too.
So, Abby, for listeners not yet familiar, give them a quick rundown of who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, Todd. I am Abby Nissenbaum. I'm a Nashville-based voice actor and musician. I've been working in the video game industry, like in the indie video game industry, for 6 or 7 years now. I started as a research director and a narrative consultant over at Raindrop Games, and I've kind of been able to parlay that into voice acting. So it's been really fun. It's been an interesting journey to see where it takes me.
Yeah, absolutely. And an accomplished singer, musician, slash what else?
Slash corporate worker, unfortunately, for the time being.
Yeah, the day job life, sure. So you're actually very busy.
I'm super busy. Yeah, it feels like I never have free time, but you know what? The busier, the better. Busy and booked.
Make hay while the sun shines, right? Yeah. Yeah, when the opportunity arises, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's more time in the game industry than I realized just from sort of browsing around some of the links I was sent and stuff. Research director, that seems like a cool job. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was super cool. I worked with Raindrop Games in California. It's in Silicon Valley. I was actually a social psychology PhD student when I first met the CEO there, Josh Samuels, and he took me on because we were working on a game about consent, and I was actually specifically a sexual violence prevention researcher. So it just so happened that I loved video games and I was looking to get into the industry. So I ended up working there for a while. And through that, I've also always known that I liked the voice acting side of things because I was brought up in the musical theater world, and I had taken a break from musical theater back then because I was doing my PhD, which I never finished. But yeah, I was like super enamored with the whole industry and specifically the voice acting component. So I ended up doing some voice acting for Raindrop Games while I was their research director. And then from there, I've been able to kind of expand a bit and use my interests and talents wherever I'm able to.
That's something kind of magical about indie studios is there is such a demand for people who can wear like multiple hats or would like to try to wear multiple hats. You can jump. It seems to me, now I've not been through this on that side, but it seems you can jump in and try something and they're usually glad for the help, right?
Yeah, I mean, I asked Josh, I think the first day that I was there at Raindrop, if I could ever do voice acting for them. And he was like, yeah, if the opportunity arises, absolutely. And the opportunity arose. And so I was like, how can I spin this into something, that maybe I can do longer term? And it's really cool because once you have your foot in the door and you have those connections, you're able to expand more broadly and see what else you can get into.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been alongside that doing like musical gigs in the area? Where are you based in right now?
Yeah, I'm based in Nashville. I moved here in 2021. So that's kind of when I started my independent music as well. Before that, I was like totally focused on academia and just being like a serious academic. But I've been doing music locally here for, I guess, 4 or 5 years since I've been here.
And musical theater also. What's that like?
Yeah, that's definitely a different world. So I came up in my childhood and through high school and a little bit of college in musical theater. And I actually originally started as a musical theater major and I switched into academia because it's just super competitive and musical theater is like the whole thing. So yeah, I started with that and I had the formal training for that. So it's actually really cool to be able to use, my stage acting background and my music background, even sometimes in the voice acting world, it really does translate. So it's been really useful.
Very cool. So at some point how did you get linked up with the current studio? I'm sorry, the studio name slipped my grasp here.
Skango Games.
Yeah, Skango Games. How did you get linked up with them?
Yeah. So like I said, I currently have a corporate day job that I do full time, but I also am just a consultant for video games on the side. So I used kind of my consulting connections to get in touch with them, and they were looking for a voice actor and a consultant for this particular game. And it happened to work out, and I had the time to do it. We filmed last year, or we recorded last year, and yeah, it was a great experience.
The upcoming game is called Benevolent, is that right?
Correct. Yep.
And you are a lead role, is that fair to say?
I think I am the only role right now. I'm kind of like the narrator. It's a walking sim, kind of like monologue driven. I think in the same vein as like Gone Home,
Yeah.
all that game. So it's kind of like a narrative or narration monologue style game where I'm just giving the monologue or the lines as you go throughout and explore.
There's a very cool, I guess, announcement slash release trailer, not release trailer, but sort of preview trailer that shows very cool art, a very cool walkthrough of part of the game, and it looks like it must have been a lot of work for your role. Is that right?
Yeah, and it was something that I had never really experienced in the capacity that I voice acted before. Because like I didn't have any context, in a stage play, you have context for what you're saying. You have other people to work off of, you have props, etc. But here I didn't know what the character looked like. I didn't have any concept of what the objects were that I were speaking about, or what the story was in general. So I kind of got like these one-off lines, and I was just trying to deliver them in the best context possible, given no context. So yeah, it was really cool.
That brings up something I never really thought of. If you are a voice actor for a game like this, it seems to me like the script would be written intentionally in a withholding way, if that makes sense, like reveal things very slowly. And that's really cool for the player and probably not very cool for you.
Yeah, well, it is cool for me because I get to kind of see the story unfold, but I'll be honest, I don't know how the story ends. We're still recording. This is for the demo. I actually record everything right here. I do my own engineering, and then it gets sent off to be like mixed and mastered and all of that good stuff. But yeah, it's really cool to like record in fragments and try to deliver it as best I can, given like very little context, which I think is kind of par for the course in video game acting.
Yeah, doing cleaning up and editing, you are never going to be out of work. How does that feel?
Well, I don't do the cleaning up and editing. I just do my own like actual recording. So I do kind of I guess like front end engineering. And then it gets sent off to an actual engineer to
Sure.
make sure that I don't mess things up too badly. But that's also, a good skill set to have as a musician. Like I have my whole recording set up here. So
Yeah.
it's been a good deal.
Scrolling through your social media presence, I see you performing with what looks to me like an unlimited roster of musicians and groups and stuff. Is that just life in Nashville? I mean, I know that your talent and your hard work have sort of got you into that circle, but what a lineup of people that you seem to do shows with and stuff.
Yeah, and it's funny because actually all of the producers I work with are not Nashville based. I work with people in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, in Memphis, and even all the way out in LA. So it's just been kind of ping pong all over.
I mean, so right now, what is a normal day like for you, just with all these different things happening?
Yeah, a normal day. I mean, I work corporate. I work in like the healthcare implementation space. So
Okay.
from 7 a.m. to, 5 or 6 p.m. or sometimes later, I'm tied up with that. But then, yeah, once I get free, usually late at night, I'll go and record some lines. If I have any lines, I'll songwrite, reach out to my producers if I have anything particularly ongoing. yeah, just trying to keep my creative endeavors afloat. I mean, do you have a day job too?
I did until about 10 years ago. I came from like corporate software development. And after that time, when our son was born, my wife is a physician who could not stay home, with him. And she
Yeah.
goes, why don't you take a run at like indie stuff and do your best and make sure our son's okay. So I've actually done that since that time. He's about to turn 11. So.
Oh, amazing. But yeah, I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, I think, to have time to do your own projects because like you have to, I don't know, you have to like find the time to do it and then find time for actual life too.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
I talk to people about this all the time because when you are in that corporate grind, you spend the day wishing you were, able to, I got ideas. I'd love to implement something, work out some code, design something right now. And you get home, you're exhausted. And I have a problem where it's like, okay, with unlimited time, not unlimited time. I stay very busy this way, obviously, but it's like that thing, like I need to be in a different room doing a different thing right now. Like your responsibilities, like a gas, like fill up whatever space you're in, and it's like, okay, I wish I was working on that. Oh, I should be out working in the yard. Oh, I should be going over something new with my kid.
Yeah,
I don't know what the right balance is,
exactly. Like you're being pulled in so many directions. It's the same thing with work from home sometimes. I mean, maybe not so much anymore, but like a couple of years ago, it was hard to kind of prioritize and be like, oh, well, my sink's full of dishes. Should I be doing those? But yeah, I've been able to work it out where like I am really solidly working from morning until usually like 5 or 6 p.m. here. And then I'm able to go do my creative projects. But, burnout's also a factor. So I'm trying to keep it steady and not overwork myself or do anything.
Yeah. Do you find that when one thing is driving you nuts, you can easily sort of let that sit and sort of focus on something else while the other thing kind of resets in your mind? Or do they just kind of all drive you nuts?
Yeah, they all drive me nuts
Yeah.
all of the time, especially when I'm recording, like, because in typical video game contexts, you would have an engineer with you if you're recording, and I am my own engineer. So once I have all of my stuff set up, I can't necessarily just say like, oh, I'm putting this away and I'm going to go do something else because I have it all set up there. I'm like dialed in exactly where I need to be. I guess you can't really do that with an engineer either because you're
Sure.
working with someone else and you have to adhere to their stuff. But yeah, it's always like a push and pull with finding the time to do stuff, finding the energy, not letting myself be too much of a perfectionist, kind of like just letting the lines come as they come. It's always a balance. Life is a balance.
Sure. You guys have a time difference, obviously, too, because they are not US based. They are Georgia based, right?
They are Georgia based. Yeah, they're like 12 hours ahead, something crazy.
Wow.
We're on complete different time zones. Yeah.
That's that's actually it's interesting and it's cool to be part of like an international project when you get the chance. But everybody I've talked to who has done that is like, well, the time difference is the killer, and it's hard getting synced up. And so probably your own engineering is probably very helpful, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that you can do via Zoom, and then actually the engineer who cleans up all of the stuff is in like Belarus or some other country.
Mhm.
But that was also the case at Raindrop. Like we had people from all over the world. We had someone in Australia, we had people in Canada, which isn't as much of a time difference. Then we had East Coast and West Coast. So I think in indie game development context, it's always going to be kind of asynchronous. And luckily I had that experience, so it wasn't too much of an issue.
I think if the pandemic gave the game industry anything good, which is it's a hard thing to say, but if there were any positive changes, it seems like more of an international community has been an increasing factor when it comes to putting together teams and getting people opportunities who probably didn't have them before, don't you think?
Yeah, no, it's been so cool to work internationally and see the kind of art that they develop. Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit different and yet very similar to games that I've really enjoyed from, the early 2010s. And
What are your preferences as a gamer? What has kept your attention recently?
um Honestly, I love walking sims. I love like a good narrative adventure game. The
Oh,
Life is
good.
Strange series. Do you like them too? I
I do.
assume
I,
you do.
I played Gone Home when it hit Game Pass, I think.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's hard for me as a dad sort of maintaining a household to follow narrative driven games and very story intensive stuff. But that was one that I was able to keep up with fine. And I thought it was neat how they did it because it seemed very approachable. There are no easy genres to develop in, but that one seemed like a smart way to take sort of a recipe for a game, and a limited team could knock out something interesting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this is a very limited team too at Skango. I think they maybe have like 10 developers, maybe like a couple of artists, and then producer, of course. But yeah, I love like narrative adventure walking sim style.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's cool to work with interesting content then, right?
exactly, yeah, and especially this game is like kind of politically driven. You can see it a little bit in the demo, but like it has to do with like patriarchy and like political rivalries and loyalty and all of that kind of stuff. So it was definitely interesting to work on and right up my alley.
I will say that the video did a really good job of getting me to think like, ooh, what's going to happen in this game? It's I'm a fanboy. Like I'm a developer and I've been around the industry for a long time, but I'm a player first, and that's exactly the kind of thing that like, ooh, I don't know which way this is going to go, and I'd like to kind of check it out. Are they? Is there a demo coming soon or recently, or where are they at?
Yep, the demo's coming soon. I think it got held up in Steam review. Don't quote me on this because there was like some violence in the demo.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, so I think it's being held up a little bit. It's coming out a little bit later than anticipated. I think it should be out like pretty soon. I think they got that sorted out.
If they're emailing me, that's probably that's probably a good sign, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So whenever you're hearing this, check to see if the demo date has been dropped, and who knows, right? But
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. I did look at their website and see that it looked like they were just sort of branching out into full games. I know they had done, I guess, some mobile stuff and like web development. They seem like they do a lot there, right?
Yeah, it seems like they work with a lot of different companies, but this is, I know, their first narrative IP, like narrative action adventure IP. And I think it's not just going to be a walking sim. It'll be more in the style of like maybe Doki Doki Literature Club, where there are kind of different elements happening. Um, yeah, we'll see.
That's why I like to be careful when I throw out the names of other games because there's no reason for me to assume like this will be just like Gone Home. That was an easy parallel to make because of the clearly looking around for items to interact with and stuff like that. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what else it does and what new stuff they bring to sort of that recipe.
Yeah. And it was really cool because I got to actually have some input on the narrative side. So I don't know how to explain it. I guess I like anglicized a little bit the narrative. So a lot of the narration feels really personal to me because I put it not in my own voice. I followed the lines that were already there. But yeah, it was just I had a lot more input and a lot more leeway, I think, than other voice actors typically would. So that was really interesting, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know where the story goes yet.
That's got to be a fun place to be. I do. That's another thing I love about sort of an increasingly multicultural industry is that we're starting to get some influence from outside our immediate. I say I have to work alone much too often, but it's cool to see teams that are like we're getting as many people from as many places as we can to sort of get this. I know it appears to be like kind of a historical setting. And I know there's probably only so much shifting back and forth they want to do with certain details, but it seems cool to get other perspectives in a game, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a historical setting. That's a good point.
That was a
Because it
vibe
just,
I picked up, and it could be wrong. Yeah.
yeah, I'll have to ask. I didn't perform it like it was historical, like a historical character. I recorded it like it was a modern knight kind of thing.
So,
Actually, I don't even know if it's a knight.
so
I
that's
keep calling it.
for me as an interviewer, that would have been a good question for me to approach you with first before I let that come out of my mouth. I was just kind of going from like something about the art style, something about the design of the room made me think like, is this kind of like a while back, like almost a castle-y kind of setting, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think it is a castle-y kind of setting because there are lines about, the Duchess and like the mysterious Duke and all of that. But yeah, I recorded Quinn like she was a modern day, like burgeoning knight.
That's actually pretty cool to know. Are you between albums also? It looked like you did an album recently.
Yes, I did an album recently. I put out an EP back in, I want to say like October of last year. But as you know, it's really time consuming and expensive to produce and, well, first of all, to write all of your own songs, get each song produced, package it up with a producer, do all the PR for it. So it'll be a little while before I do the next album, kind of recuperate financially and, getting things together.
It's hard to hold that against you, doing corporate work and voiceover work and performing around the area. I guess that's okay if you take a little time between albums,
No, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I have done some like pretty casual recording with other musicians, like especially a little earlier in my life when I was like getting out of college and stuff. What I have not done is since the rise of like streaming platforms and Spotify and stuff, like you're on Spotify. How is that going?
Poorly, especially because they changed the payment model. So it used to be that like you would just put up your songs and then whatever streams it got, you would get at least a couple of cents of revenue, right? They would just throw you a little bone there. But now it has to reach 1,000 streams in the first calendar year of you distributing the song before you can start getting paid.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a little bit of a nightmare and it's tough to get 1,000 streams on everything you put out.
Yeah, what's interesting is they kind of did that to podcasters because Spotify is not even my leading platform. I think Apple is right now, but Spotify just did that to podcasters too. I never thought about that being across the board like that. I have to get within 30 days. I have to get so many consumption hours, which means like more than 20 or 30 seconds of listening, downloads count, and then a certain audience size. And you have to hit like 6 bullet points. It's actually very difficult to do. Like this podcast has some momentum because it's been around like 7 years. It was offline for a while, but I just brought it back last week. But a typical podcast would have a real difficult time trying to do that and trying to monetize long enough to just get that far,
Absolutely. And there's so much noise now. There's so many podcasts and so many people putting out music that you have to compete with. And it's almost like you have to spend more money than you would end up making on PR and playlisting and all of this other kind of stuff. So I'm just doing it mostly for fun now, and it'll get me wherever it gets me. And then I have these other cool projects like voice acting to supplement.
I actually love that. That resonates with me because that's kind of why I brought this back. Like I was doing that. I was spending an increasing amount of money to keep my website up and to keep, keeping up with like good microphones and stuff. And it got to a point where it was like, I can either invest a bunch of money trying to help promote other projects. I'm having trouble finding time to do my own. I'm having trouble finding like motivation to come back every week and like help make PR people money and developers hopefully get their stuff in the limelight while I'm just dumping money into this. So I dropped it for almost a year, actually. And then people started emailing me with projects that sort of reminded me why I like to do this. My last episode, when this goes live, will have been with a developer who was creating a whole point-and-click adventure game about his friend with Down syndrome. And we had a really... I told my wife, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This seems like it's going to be the hardest chat in the world. And it was emotional for both of us. It was tough, but like it's that kind of thing that reminds you like there is good in this medium and it is worth doing. So I do like to hear people saying that this is for the joy of it. This is for the art of it, because sometimes what else do we have,
Exactly. And it's for the connection of it too. I love working with other indie developers and, meeting people like yourself even. It's a small world, and the more connection that we can have with each other in
Yeah.
this little indie game industry, the better.
Yeah. Have you done a lot of like conferences and stuff? Because you've been at this for a while, right?
I have. I started in 2019, like I said, but it was right before the pandemic hit. So we were going to go to GDC in 2020. Of course, that didn't pan out, but we shipped a game called Fishing for Permission in 2020 as well. So that would have been cool to, do the rounds at the conferences. But one day, like, especially as I ramp up with this project more and maybe get involved in some others as a voice actor, I'll be at the conferences for
I
sure.
think I heard about the Permission game because I was covering GDC remotely that year, I believe. It was either, yeah, because they skipped 2019, right? I don't think they did 2019 at all. And then, or it's hard to keep, it all blurs together now, but I think 2020 was when I was streaming everything remotely and trying to cover it on the blog as best as I could. And the problem with that was it worked just fine. And now I don't ever want to go again,
Not even for the fun.
Like the first time I went was 2018 to collab with Microsoft because they had a lot of people they wanted to sort of get that exposure to, but I only went to the expo. So I never actually got the full GDC experience. I would probably feel a lot stronger about it if I hadn't just been like bouncing around the conference tables and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard there are a lot of like cool dinners and, you meet lots of different people, but no, it's cool that you heard of that. That was my first voice acting experience was in Fishing for Permission.
That's cool. How did the game do overall?
I don't think it did particularly great. It was a free mobile game for children based on the notion of consent. So like you would just toggle yes or no if the fish was like giving consent or not. But yeah, it was a shipped game. It had amazing art, had a full soundtrack behind it by a very talented musician. Yeah, it was great.
That's
It was fun to
cool.
work on.
My first indie game was a mobile game for kids to learn like letters and numbers and stuff. So that space is actually very important to me. And it's once you become a parent, like I had my son and that was the first way I was able to like teach him like let's play with this phone together. And when I figured out kids can follow activities on a screen very, very early. And so I wanted to be responsible with that. And so that got me into the kids mobile space, and God bless you, because that is just a brutal market. Because you can't drop on a 3-year-old's podcast and promote the project. It's like you can't advertise directly to kids. It's all like, let's try to get parents to get it. And hey, this is here. This will help, and show it to your kids. That's tough.
Yeah. There were no 3-year-olds with podcasts, unfortunately. That would have been cool though.
As I said it, I thought like, what would that be like? That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be. You should start one.
Yeah. And even at 10 or 11 now would be hilarious. My kid is hilarious. Funnier than I will ever be. So.
I'll have him on this podcast.
Yeah. I'm always talking to his mom like, he wants to do stuff like this. It seems bad. The internet seems bad for kids.
It does. Seems bad for adults too.
That's a good point. It's getting worse for everyone. So now it seems to me that you being where you are, they'll probably want you to attend events for this game now, right?
That would be really cool. I mean, I haven't heard of any events that I'm attending, but I would love to, especially if this takes off at all. People seemed interested in the demo online, so we'll see what the response is like.
Yeah, it seems like there's good buzz for it. It seems like it was smart from a PR standpoint to use you and your career as a way to promote this. Like, hey, come check it out. We've got like, top voice quality. We've got, what looks like really good art in the game, and it looks like it'll be a fun game to play. So I don't see why this shouldn't be a big, bust the door down type project for them. They seem like they're going to do great with it. Yeah,
I hope so. That would be really awesome.
It's good to be in on the ground floor, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. It's the type of game, like I said, that I really enjoy playing. So I'm just interested to see where it goes. We're still recording, and I don't know when the actual game is going to come out, but it should be good.
Yeah, I found that interesting when you said that it's still in development while you guys are actively trying to get through Steam review and do demos and stuff. It makes sense, right? I mean, community building starts so early now.
Yeah, I think that they are trying to find a publisher because currently it's self-published. They're the developer, of course, but I think that's the motive behind it.
What does it seem like they sort of want their specialty to be? Do they want to move fully into games or keep being like full service or, drop the client work? What's that going to look like, you think?
I think eventually, so I know for Raindrop, it was going to be a model where one team was working on like contracted games, which a lot of indie studios do. You work kind of on the side, and then you develop your own IP. So I think it was meant to be that model. This is certainly more in their own IP model, but of course there are considerations that need to be held when you find a publisher, right? Because they'll have say in how the story develops. I think that was the intention behind this, though.
It seems like you've gotten to pick games that are fairly meaningful to you and not just take anything. Have you been able to be somewhat selective over the years?
I mean, I honestly haven't been offered much. It just so happened that the games that I was involved in were like right in my area of expertise, right in my area of interest. And this game literally fell into my lap. So yeah, I'll take anything though. I don't want to like myself out.
Yeah, that's a hard balance because I've been approached it very, very scarcely, but a couple of things have come up that most of them were like, yeah, I would do that all day in a heartbeat. I'll sweep your floors. I don't care. Like, get me involved in this. And then some have come through that were like, my issue was like, I don't know if I would do this project justice just because it's so removed from like what I might be interested in. So I think that's a tough thing everybody has to answer for themselves. So that's why I kind of try to ask people that, like, are you getting to do what you want to do,
Yeah, this is definitely what I want to do. And if I can find any other games in this vein, please hire me. I'll put it out there into the universe.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I would love to continue doing this kind of stuff.
I saw you on another podcast recently. Are you a regular anywhere or is it just kind of appearances as work allows?
I am. So I ended up becoming really good friends with the Strange Cast co-hosts, Adam Ebal and Adnan Riaz. So they've been doing that, and it's a Life is Strange focused podcast. They've been doing that for years. Like, I don't know if it's been a decade, but it's been many, many years that they've kept that going. And Adnan and I created a spinoff called Fireside with A&A, where we talk about the new Life is Strange games, Lost Records, which is Don't Nod's recent game. They were the original developers for the original Life is Strange games.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we talk about like all things indie gaming and just whatever we want to. So that's been really fun. He's been a great friend and collaborator.
I really like podcasts that can get that specific and keep things like keep that kind of momentum. It seems like people are very into the podcast. I'm always worried about like, is this broad enough? Is this hitting enough areas of interest? And it seems like the people doing very specific stuff are just kind of crushing it.
Yeah, well, I think that the whole Life is Strange saga, like with switching developers and then like some drama, with like the voices switching for the beloved characters. I think that's really captivated the audiences. And yeah, I think as long as the Life is Strange series goes on, we will have that podcast.
Also, that's another cool thing you could kind of get involved in as the current studio sort of takes off. Like, let's get going further on social, like, because I'm a sucker for like developer talk and creative talk for people who are involved in the projects. Like, I try to encourage everybody I can, like, capture the behind the scenes stuff. Like, that's there. You can never find out enough about that, I don't think.
Yeah, and Skango is so anonymous. I mean, I know that they're Georgian based, so like maybe they're a little bit more low key depending on like the country's norms or whatever. But yeah, I would love to, have them on and talk about the development process and the art process and all of that.
Cool. Maybe as we get closer, maybe you guys can do like a team appearance on this show or something like that.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah.
Time zone permit. I guess I don't know what time of day we would do that.
Yeah, it would have to be very late at night for us, I think.
Yeah. Well, 12 hours is, you could do worse. You could do worse than a 12-hour difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where can people find your music stuff who want to check out your music and such?
Yeah, my music is available on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Bandcamp, Deezer, TikTok, Instagram, all of the places. And then you can find me at Abby Nissenbaum on Instagram and at Abby Niss Music on TikTok.
What's the best spot to follow to find updates on the game? Are any of your channels sort of including that?
Yes, I'm including it on all of my channels. That's kind of part of my deal with Skango, is that I'm promoting it equally with them. So you can follow at Skango Games on Instagram or any of the other places. And you can follow me at Abby Nissenbaum, like I said.
I like the idea that would help drum up some work. Like, hey, I have the following channels where I can help get the word out. Is that is that a thing now?
I do. I mean, I think that's a draw. Like, obviously you have to have some background in voice acting, but yeah, I think it's a good thing to have to offer.
I like that. Any advice for like aspiring voiceover folks or people of that type?
Yeah, I think just be persistent, meet as many people as you can, talk with as many people as you can. And if you have a special skill, like if you are a researcher or you are an aspiring game developer, get into those spaces too, because you never know what opportunities can follow.
Very cool. Well, Abby, thank you so much for your time. This was a lot of fun, and we will look forward to playing a demo for Benevolent soon and catching more news about it as it comes up.
Thanks so much for having me, Todd.
All right, thanks again to Abby for taking time out of her very busy day to hang out and chat. I had a great time. I hope she did too. Give her a listen and find yourself a place to follow news about Benevolent as it develops. Also, there are about 2 weeks left, about a good 2 full weeks left to grab the promotion at StoryBundle, where you can get my book and like 65 other books for one low price over at StoryBundle.com with great authors like David L. Craddock, Mega Ran, all kinds of people who I'm friendly with on the internet and people whose work is very good, and you should read it if you like game development and gaming books. This has just about everything. So check that out at StoryBundle.com, and we will be back with another great chat next week. Catch everybody later. Thank you so much.